because they'd been traveling. And remember, they didn't have closed shoes.
No.
They had open-toe shoes.
These were sandals.
They had sandals.
Like sandals, yeah.
Flippy flops is what I call them.
Oh, right there.
So the foot washer was not unusual. What was unusual to such a great degree that it seemed almost altogether unacceptable was that the one who washed their feet was the one that they had come to know as Master and Lord and God. All right, it says, those who love best serve most. It says, now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world into the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus knowing that the Father had given all things into his hand, and that he was come from God and went to God, he raised from the supper, and laid aside his garments, and took a towel, and girdled himself. After that he poured water into a basin, and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded. He said it was almost Passover time. Jesus knew that this time he would be the lamb, the sacrificial lamb. He also knew that after he finished his provisions for our redemption, he would be leaving this world and going back to the Father. There was something he still had to do. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. By what means would Jesus show them how much he loved them? He had shown them his love in so many ways. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that the disciples who had argued over who would be the greatest would learn an important lesson about how power should be used to minister and to serve. This lesson will be in a vivid contrast to culture then and now, expecting the lowly to serve the powerful. The all-powerful Jesus, being in very nature of God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant. John detailed the settings. Judas was there, ready to do the devil's work. They were all there, right? They had been. We remember the pictures. I don't know if we got one in here, the Last Supper. Yeah, right up there. Where they're all at the table, and they've got done eating. So this took place right after that supper.
Yeah.
It says, as the food was served, Jesus began to serve his disciples. Now, what did he do? How did Jesus serve them in the Last Supper? How did he go about that?
The bread and the wine.
And what was he telling them? This is my body that was broken. This is my blood that was spilled. Remember me saying Jesus didn't do nothing that didn't have a purpose. How many times do you reckon they had ate before that together?
Every time.
Every time they ate, pretty much. Because they were all together, right? They were his disciples. They traveled around. What made this so special?
It was the Last Supper.
Who knew that, though?
Jesus knew that.
Jesus was the only one that knew in the crowd, and he was trying to tell them, look, I'm fixing to leave you. Oh, where are you going? No, I'm going to go with you. No, you can't go with me.
Can't go.
But he's trying to tell them something.
Only the thief on the cross.
It says, many people, especially important people and people who fancy themselves as important, expect to be served by others. Most people like to be served. Who don't like to be served in here? Everybody likes to get a little serving every now and then, right? Be what we call pampered. I like to be pampered. When I go to restaurants, I like to be served. It says, even those who do serve would rather be served. Some people think that they are too good for certain tasks. I remember a young lady telling me one time she was too pretty to work on a farm. Those who think certain types of services are beneath them should hear their story well. It says the attitude that prevails in most cultures is far from the attitude of Christ. There's a certain social order that prevails. A person who has a position of power expects to be served by those who are under them. Christ did not live or teach that way. Even today, when he calls us to serve him, he is not asking us to wait on him and attend to his needs. He is calling us to serve him by serving others. We not only like to be served, we will go to the end of our means to make sure that we are served well. We pay good money for good service. We not only expect service, but we also expect what? The best service. That's right. We pay for good service, and Jesus paid to serve. Question number 1, it says, how do you feel about others serving you? I imagine if you go back into that last little bit of paragraph right there, you can define on how you feel about people serving you. Any of y'all ever been to a restaurant and got bad service?
Oh, yeah.
How'd that make you feel?
Ain't get no tip.
Any of y'all ever been to a restaurant and got bad food?
Oh, yeah.
Got food poisoning.
It did.
So what's the ultimate worst?
Bad food.
They have both.
They got both bad food and bad service.
Get up and leave.
Guess what? What happens when we get bad food and bad service? Usually we tell them about it, and then we do something about it.
Yeah, we don't go back no more.
We don't come back.
I've done that one time. He had me tell some food. I said, mine wasn't that good.
Now, why did I get upset? Why did I'm guilty. I'm the epitome of that. So why would I get upset?
You didn't get what you expected to get.
I didn't, what I felt like I paid for, right?
Right.
I feel like if I'm going to pay high prices, then I ought to have something good. And I remember telling a manager one time, I don't mind getting bad food and good service. And I don't mind getting good service and bad food. But I ain't going to pay for bad service and bad food. And he made it right. And the next time I went in there, everything was great. Matter of fact, the next couple of times we went in there, I never had any more bad service. But what happens? We don't know what happened. Maybe the cook laid out and somebody else was cooking. Maybe the person who was serving you didn't wake up on the right side of the bed or had to stay up and take care of a sick child or sick parent all night long and wasn't on their A game. But we don't really know what happened. But how quick are we to react when that happens? Do we put ourselves in their shoes?
Sometimes depends on our attitude.
Now I like to cook. You know what I don't like to do?
Wash dishes.
I don't like to cook and wash dishes. I will cook and I will wash dishes. But I feel like if I'm going to wash the dish, then you should cook. And if I'm going to cook, you ought to help me wash the dishes, right? Some people get lucky.
Didn't work, did it?
But if that don't happen, then what? If somebody's getting it all free, then what happens?
Expected.
But first they start expecting it, but then they've got to compensate somewhere or another. So they've got to take on another task. I.e. mow the yard, work on the vehicles, make sure the lights stay on,
Yeah.
make sure the water's still coming out the faucet when you turn the spigot, and it ain't running in the floor. But there's lots of things we can contribute. But Jesus was just basically taking it down to the simple. Something that was every day in this meal. I mean, really the lesson's really about the Last Supper. It's not really it's about serving, but it's about the Last Supper. What was the importance of the Last Supper? He was trying to teach them to take care of yourself. Be able to take care of those who are following you, how to take care of your followers. And how to glorify God while you do it. You didn't hear Jesus complaining, well, man, he must have stepped in the biggest mud hole he could find coming here to me wash his feet. He don't never clean his feet. Look like he needs some toenail trimming too. I guess he wants me to do that while I'm here. Right? We didn't hear none of that. He just did his task. You remember last week we talked about Lazarus dying. And we talked about Martha running out to Jesus and said, if you'd only been here. Wasn't very long before that Martha was complaining that Mary was sitting at Jesus' feet listening to him teach. And Martha was in the kitchen doing all the work.
Yep.
You ever been like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
We all get that way, myself included. I can get upset just as easy as anybody. But it's how you react when you're upset. So what defines you?
That's it.
Sometimes I go over the edge, but most of the time I try to keep it in check. Because that goes to question number 2. What is your attitudes towards serving others?
Don't mind.
I don't mind her.
I like to help people. But what's, all right, there's a fine line, right? Where's the fine line drawn at?
If they seem grateful,
Helping people and getting used by people.
That's right.
Yeah.
You help people. They help themselves.
I don't mind helping people, but I do mind getting used. Then sometimes it's a hard line to distinguish, ain't it?
You'll get there.
It says, what motivated Jesus to wash his disciples' feet?
Love.
Love was the motivation, but he done what?
Set an example.
He set an example. He saw a need. And he didn't have to wait for him to say, hey, will you wash our feet? Because he knew they were going to need their feet washed.
Yeah.
It says, what motivated your service? Boy, that's a big one there. What motivates you to do the things that you do?
Love.
Have it.
Love.
feel like you're pleasing the Lord.
Pleasing the Lord.
Yep.
When I'm at work, what motivates me to do my job?
Paycheck, your family.
Right?
But
But
you gotta
why
do
is
all
money
that.
so important?
Pay your bill.
Yeah.
Family.
Well, in my case, I've got bills, but my wife's got bills. And it's because I love them, I want to keep what?
Everything.
I want to keep the lights on. I want to keep the water running. The bills paid. I want to provide the things that they need. And it's all out of love. Same thing Jesus is doing. Now, if we could do all this without having to make money, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, I would.
The perfect world, right? What's wrong with society today?
Selfish.
They ain't selfish. They're just greedy. They done past selfish. They're going to being greedy.
Yeah, greed. And hate.
You know. We're talking in the government shutdown is always leading off with everything. What's the rub about?
They don't want to agree on nothing.
Does everybody know what the actual rub is?
Greed.
And it shouldn't be, but it is. It all comes down to money.
Yeah.
That almighty dog.
At some point along the line, people have been convinced that they need the government to take care of them.
Big company.
And somewhere along the line, the church decided that they didn't need to provide those services. Because before the United States was ever formed, how did people take care of each other?
They
When the pilgrims came across on the boats,
all shared and worked together.
they had to work together or what? They died.
Yep.
Probably the reason why we can't find anybody that was on the original colony over in Ocracoke. Because things happen, don't they? Does bad things happen to good people? Well, sure it does. But it's all boils down to money. And how the government's spending that money. But let me ask you a question. Who's spending the money, the Democrats or the Republicans?
Both of them.
They're all spending it.
They're all independent.
The question is how they're spending it. And that's the balance. One wants social programs for what? Taking care of everybody, right?
Yeah.
And we don't care who they are, as long as they can get here, right? That's basically what it amounts to. If you can get in our borders, we're going to take care of it because you're here.
We'll take care of them out of our borders too.
Well, that's a whole different another subject. That's foreign aid,
Yeah.
and that comes out of that pile too. But what does the Republicans want?
I want to get rid of the government.
They want a strong military. Why?
Yeah.
Take care of our country.
Because if we don't have a strong military, what's going to happen? Somebody's going to overtake us.
Yep. We're gonna be overtook.
And you got to have a strong economy. Why do you need a strong economy?
gotta dial everybody in.
Because without a strong economy, you're not going to have a strong military.
Right.
So there's the balance. Therein lies the balancing act. What happens when the government takes over everything?
Then we have a king that's tough.
You may have a king. You may have worse. You may have a dictator.
Well, take the communists.
You know, at least the king's got to go before parliament.
Yeah.
You still got a lot of leeway. But when you get a dictator where he uses the military to control you, and we have examples of that in the world, then how much say do you got?
No.
People are worried about what they can and can't do, but we keep heading towards socialist economy, and
Yeah.
that's what it leads to. All right, moving on. The disciples have seen Jesus perform many miracles. He could do anything, even raise the dead, he said. He could have made their feet suddenly clean. How could he have made their feet clean?
You could say, be clean.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. He wouldn't have snapped his fingers, because how's Jesus always did everything?
Put his hands in it.
He either spoke it, God spoke it, and it happened, or he told Jesus, go handle it. And Jesus went and handled it. Said he could cleanse a leper with a word, so he could certainly have cleansed their feet without even lifting a finger. The disciples knew it, and Jesus knew it. But loving and serving is a hands-on kind of thing. Loving and serving is also about humility and effort. These are important things that disciples need to understand. He wanted his disciples to experience it and know it, so he washed their feet. Those who want to walk with Jesus submit to his will and work. Hold on a minute. Those who want to walk with Jesus submit to his will and work. What does that mean?
Do what he does.
Got to follow him and do what he does. Now, what did he do?
He served.
He served others. All through his whole ministry, he was serving others. Even when he was walking around from town to town and staying in strangers' houses, and basically wondering where his next meal's coming from, he was serving others. How was he serving them? He was teaching them about God and how to live to be blessed, and how to avoid not being blessed. See, well, you know, a lot of times we talk about being blessed, but he also told us how, if there's a certain situation we put ourselves in where we won't be blessed. Said, those who want to walk with Jesus submits to his will and work. Then cometh he to Simon Peter, and Peter said unto him, Lord, dost thou wash my feet? And Jesus answered and said unto him, what I do thou knowest not now, but thou shalt know hereafter. Peter said unto him, thou shalt never wash my feet. Jesus answered him, if I wash thee not, thou hast no part with me. Simon Peter said unto him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. So Jesus said to him, he that is washed needeth not save to wash his feet, but is clean every whit. And ye are clean, but not all. For he knew who should betray him. Therefore said he, ye are not all clean. So Jesus is having a conversation with Simon Peter. And Peter said, no, you can't wash I don't want you washing my feet. You, my master and my Lord, right? I hold you up on a pedestal, right? That's what Peter was doing, was putting him up on a pedestal. He felt like that was beneath Jesus to wash his feet. But what did Jesus tell him?
They didn't realize it later on.
If you don't let me wash your feet, then you ain't got no part with me. And it's the same thing Jesus is telling us today. If we don't allow him to come into our life and wash away all of our sins with his blood, then he can't have anything to do with us. We're not a part of him. It says, Simon Peter did not want to allow Jesus to wash his feet, even when Jesus explained, you do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand. Basically, he was saying, I'm not going to be here forever. You don't understand what I'm doing, but you will soon. And Peter said no. Some Bible scholars have suggested that perhaps Jesus washed the feet of Judas first and came next to Peter. Some Bible scholars might be just talking. Because the Bible that I read didn't tell whose feet he washed first or whose feet he washed last. And that doesn't matter. Why? Because why? Because it said he washed all of their feet. They all got washed. Doesn't matter who came first. Just like who got saved by Jesus Christ first.
Don't matter.
What nation was the nation of Christianity?
The Jewish nation was God.
We started out. Jewish was supposed to be God's chosen people. But what happened when Jesus showed up? What was the rub between Jesus at that time and the religious leaders?
He upset it all.
Because Jesus came teaching a lesson of serving people, and the Jewish leaders at that time were teaching a religion that was telling them to be served. Think of all the things. Did you see the Jewish leaders going out into the community doing anything? Where did they stay? Hemmed up around the temple, right? Waiting on what?
To be served.
Waiting on everybody else to bring them what they needed. What do you think the offerings was for? Why did people have to bring burnt offerings to the temple?
They could eat.
They had to eat. Remember, they wasn't allowed to own no land, no property, no nothing. They had to do the jobs of the temple. So they relied on everybody else to bring them something to eat. Why do you think they were selling things in the corridors? So that people could offer them. But they had to get money somehow, right? They needed money. We'll go back to that same old thing. Money, money, money. Turned out to be a greed problem.
We become a great problem.
We remember Peter. Who was Peter?
Simon Peter the fisherman.
He was a fisherman, right?
Hard-headed too.
He is one of the first people that Jesus seen and said, hey, why don't you come on and be my disciples?
He was the most rebellious one and the boldest one.
He was probably the one that was the most mature mentally. He was probably the older of the crowd. He was actually bold. We know he was bold because only one of them said, Lord, if you command me, I can walk out on this water. And Jesus said, come on. And what did Peter do?
He walked on the water.
Come on.
He got out and walked on the water. Now, what do you think the rest of them thought whenever Peter was walking on the water to Jesus?
Thought he was crazy.
Why didn't anybody else follow him? The rest of them stayed in the
He
boat.
trusted the Lord. Yeah, he trusted and believed in that much more.
They ain't gonna be crazy as
But
he.
Peter had enough faith to at least get out the boat.
Yeah.
It wasn't till he took his eyes off God.
That's it.
Yeah.
So that tells you the kind of a character that Peter had. He was bold enough to get out of the boat. A lot of us are bold enough to get out of the boat. But just like Peter, we get our eyes focused off God on the other things, and we start to sink. But guess what Peter had sense enough to do?
Look back onto the Lord, help me.
He went back to the Lord and said, help me. He knew where the help came from. And so many times we get in over our head and we have to ask for the Lord's help. Just remember, it's better to ask for the Lord's help than to keep trying to swim. Especially when you're in the ocean.
At least get out of his way so he can do it.
That's right. But you got to let him pick you up, right? It says only those who are washed by Christ have any part in the kingdom and the work. The person who would follow Christ must allow him to cleanse them. The significance of our willingness to allow God to work in our lives in all the ways he chooses is underlined well in this narrative. Peter's attitude and response quickly changed when he understood that he had to let Jesus do whatever was needed to be done. He wanted Jesus in his life. There was even more conviction in Peter's yes than had been in his no. Peter said, not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well. Peter wanted to be clean and sanctified, and he wanted Jesus to have all of him. For Judas, the foot washing was just a foot washing. For Peter, it was a time of spiritual commitment and revival. Now, think about that. For Judas, the foot washing was just a foot washing. But for Peter, it meant a time of spiritual commitment and revival. So many times we have people come in confessed their sins, go back out in the world, start right back over doing what they were doing. Now, do you think they meant what they said at the altar?
Yep,
That time.
time.
Why? Because that was them getting their feet washed. Well, they got their feet washed. They went on back out the door. They didn't bother to come back and get their feet washed again, did they? Those people that stay here and get their feet washed every week does what? They're closer to Jesus. Would you expect somebody that's sitting at home on the couch watching TV on Sunday to be as well versed in the scripture as somebody that comes to church every Sunday? That could be a trick question, but it's not.
It could be, yeah.
Depending on the church that they go to and what that church's purpose is.
We're
If it's-
insinuating that they're just watching, they're not doing
Yeah,
anything.
that's right. They're not doing anything except just watching TV. Now there could be people that's trapped at home and they're actually pulling out their Bible and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. But it's the people that continuously let themselves be washed. You know, we get a washing every time we open that book and start reading. You may not think it, but there's things that are in our mind that we can clear them out when we start reading the Bible and we start following the Bible. It says, disciples of Christ do what Jesus says. It said, so after he had washed their feet and had taken his garments and was set down again, he said unto them, know ye that I have done to you, or know ye what I have done to you? Ye call me Master and Lord, and ye say, well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also to wash others' feet. For I have given you an example that ye should do as I have done to you. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord, neither is he that is sent greater than he that has sent him. If you know these things, happy are ye if you do them. Ain't it amazing how Jesus talks? And sometimes he can be tell you exactly what he wants to say, but it seems like it's in a parable, right? What is Jesus trying to say? He's only got this power because of why? Because Father gave him the power. He's no greater than the Father. And he's no greater than the servant. And he's no greater than who he's serving. They can all have the same power. They just have to get it from the same place. You know, we talk about Jesus raising the dead. And we talked about that last week, how we have the same exact power. We just have to have the faith to believe in it. And the faith to act on it. So Jesus asked his disciples, do you understand what I have done for you? How many times has somebody asked you, do you understand what I'm telling you? And you get that look. Especially my Hispanic friends. When you ask them, do you understand? What do they say? 100% of the time, what do they say?
Yes.
See, yeah, see. And then you go out in the field and you realize they didn't understand a thing you just said. So then you have to use your Spanglish to try to explain to them what you really wanted. And then they kind of catch on because they see you and the other guys that do understand doing something. Then they kind of catch on. But as Christians, a lot of time people ask us, well, do you understand? And we say, yeah, but a lot of times we don't. And sometimes it's because we just really don't understand, and then other times it's because we don't want to understand. Because it would require us to do something in addition. You know, we talk about our little Thanksgiving lunch. Why do I always ask, do you want me to bring a turkey or a ham? Because it don't matter to me whether I bring a turkey or a ham.
People like turkey,
Some people like both.
Yeah.
But somebody might want to cook a ham. Somebody might want to cook a turkey. So if we're going to have one, I'd like to cook the other. Or I can cook both. It don't matter. Because I like to cook. And what does my wife say?
Cook.
No. She says, I hate cooking. I don't even know why we have these dinners. Why?
Fellowship.
Because she don't like to cook. She likes to eat. Now she will cook. Don't get me wrong, she cooks. But for a big meal like that, she doesn't like to do it because it takes a lot of effort on her part, and you have to plan it. Whereas me, I'm not. I'm more of a last minute, throw it together kind of guy. She's a planner. She starts a week or two out in advance. I start the night of, right? But what's the difference? When I start the night of, I'm focused what?
Just on that.
I am focused on that task, and I'm going to get that task done by God, or it's going to be rough being around me if I don't get it done, because I'm completely 100% focused on that task. She can't be like that. Why?
She's got all these other.
Because she's got to take care of me, and take care of my kids, take care of her parents, take care of herself. With diabetes, she has to take care of herself. She has a lot of different things going on. And she tries to work a full-time job. So she's got a lot of things going on in her life. So it's not that we're that big a difference, because we're really not. It's just she can't get bogged down focusing on one thing at one time. Because if she did that, she would forget about everything else. That's knowing your partner, by the way. That's 30 years of experience. Says, do you understand what God has done for you? Some people think they know. Some people actually know what God's done for you. People are still questioning whether there is a God. But they want to be able to explain their beliefs. Who can explain? Who can definitively explain what God is, or who God is? That you have to know because you know. It's your faith. And at some point, everybody has to step out on that limb. Because why? Because nobody can definitively answer where we came from. Some people said it was from a Big Bang Theory, right?
Who made that big?
I believe that it was a Big Bang. God said it, Jesus done it, and bang, it happened. Now, we might disagree on the timetable. You know, they're still trying to figure out, well, this math don't figure out. You know, people take the Bible and they try to run through it and do all the math. The problem is who can tell me how long Adam and Eve was in the Garden of Eden?
That's right.
Long enough.
How old was Adam and Eve when they had to pay for sin? They went from not dying to gotten a shelf life now. That's what I call it now, shelf life. You have a shelf life. Nobody can kind of explain that. Why? We know they were old enough to have kids.
That's all we know.
Well, we also know that there was once a question that all the kids at school always answered or always asked: which came first, the chicken or the egg? Why? How do we know chicken came first? Because we use the Bible as an explanation of what came first. God didn't say He made an egg. He made the animals, made the plants. Not only that, He did what with the water? He done something with water. He gathered all the water into one place. You know, we're sending spaceships all around the world, and I ain't saying that they might not find some other place somewhere else that might have water, but if they do, then we got to go back and question what the Bible said.
Same found Jeff.
That's what they're looking for, water. Ain't that so?
When will they find it? I mean, oh, they will. What does God promise us?
Eternal life.
You know, eternal life. What does eternal life mean to y'all? Does that mean I'm going to be stuck down here on earth wandering around saying, boy, I sure wish everybody could see me. I'm just an old spirit walking around. Nobody can see me.
Come back and haunt somebody. somebody.
Go back and haunt somebody. Yeah, it's Halloween though. What does the everlasting life mean to you? What does a glorified body look like?
I don't know.
Like us.
I
It's
don't know.
like Jesus.
I don't have one.
We have glimpses of what a glorified body would look like.
I think we still look like ourselves, but.
You know,
But just use your mind and try to think about that. And don't burn it up, because you're not going to be able to come up with a definitive answer. You're just going to have to take it on faith because God said it in the Bible, and then if God said it, then let it be.
Yeah.
But at some point, we're going to be in our glorified body. And we know that God is so big that He knows what everything's going on outside of what we know what's going on. Our minds can't fathom what He actually knows because our minds ain't big enough. You know, our brains are still trapped in this little skull, as smart as they are. Of course, if we understand what the scientists say, we only use about anywhere from 8 to 10% of our brain. So what's the other 90% doing? Holding the rest together, I guess.
yeah.
Think about it. And even that's flawed numbers. Why? Because how do you base the capacity of a brain that you can't understand what it actually does? So you just have to make up numbers. Doctors' numbers are made up numbers. Statistics are made up numbers. How much is $1 worth? That's just a made up number.
Well, it depends on the market.
Not much.
What's $1?
Yeah.
What's eternal life? What's hell? What's heaven? Those are kind of questions that, as Christians, we ask ourselves. Is heaven really real? Is hell really real? How do we know?
The Bible says so.
We ain't seen it.
You got to have faith.
It all brings you back to that faith. What was the importance of Jesus washing their feet?
Faith.
It was about faith. Why?
You want them-
Because if it wasn't about faith, it would be what? Every man for himself.
Right.
You know, the strongest survive, right? Even the strongest has to have help. Because guess what? As we're all living and breathing, we're all getting older.
Tables are gonna be turned. They
Yep.
already.
Ain't it amazing how when you come into the world, your mama takes care of you and changes your diaper and feeds you?
And then you.
Guess what happens at the end?
They're doing that good.
Your kids are probably changing your diaper and taking care of you and feeding you and making sure you get able to get up in the morning and get around. It's a hard fact, ain't it?
Even my granddaughter.
But think about it. Think about it. It all points us back. It still points back that there's a God. If he was so loving, why did he create death? Some people, veer death as the end. It's the worst thing that ever happened, right?
All depends.
I look at it at a different, another point of view.
It's new life.
Just the beginning.
A death makes a pathway for me to get from this position to the next position. Because I wouldn't have wanted an eternal life stuck in this aging old body. Could you imagine being 1,000 years old?
No.
You ought to walk
I can,
around.
I ain't made but 50 and I'm already feeling aches and pains every morning. I can imagine what it's going to be when I get older.
You don't know nothing yet.
That's right. That's what everybody keeps telling me, and that's true,
Oh, yeah.
But we want to be washed so that we're ready. We're ready to serve. We serve each other. We serve each other with whatever that we can do.
Yeah.
We might be playing the piano. We might be cooking a meal. We might be cleaning. We might be raking the yard. It ain't no telling what we do. Put two wires together and make lights come on. Everybody can serve. Might be just signing your name on a card. But it's when the Lord gives you that opportunity, you have to work through it. How do we grow as a church? Is it the pastor's job? No.
It's all of us.
all of us.
His job is to preach the message. It's our job to bring the people in to hear the message. Now, if your church is not growing, which
That,
it will die. You don't have, you stop all the young people from coming in. You might last for another 80, let's just say 80 years. But after 80 years, everybody's gone. So it's how you view your church. Where do you want your church to go? Do we believe in washing each other's feet? Do we believe in serving and helping each other? That's what makes us a loving small church. You know, you have that in bigger churches, but is it the same? It can be, but it's very hard. Because it's just like being at school when you're just a number. But the collective can do a lot of good. How many of you seen this week where Samaritan's Purse flew a flight down to Jamaica? And,
2 of them.
yeah. Where did that come from? Where did the 83 million, what was it, 83,000 pounds or something like that? Where did it come from? Did it just say, God say, did it popped on the plane and they flew down there? It was people was serving. People had their feet washed. People were doing what they were told. They were serving others. And they were able to collect this stuff. So there's a lot of ways that we can help as individuals. And when we work together as a common goal, that's when you start seeing things like Samaritan Purse actually work. You know, Red Cross, how did it start? Red Cross is started by churches. What's FEMA? You know, so many people confuse FEMA with Red Cross. They're not the same thing. Red Cross gets a lot of subsidies from the government, but it's still volunteers. FEMA is paid federal employees. It's a program provided by your government that's supposed to be to come in after emergencies and set up where it can get back to normal. But so many times we see it gets corrupted. Why?
Greed.
I'm saying,
What happens to your Social Security money? Who believes there's a bank account somewhere with all y'all Social Security money in? There's no money in Social Security. That's the reason why they will run out if you don't pay into it. Because why? Somebody seen this big chunk of money and said, oh, we better spend that.
give it here, there.
Look at all that money. It's just sitting over here not doing nothing. We need to spend it.
That old government borrowed it, never paid them back.
They didn't borrow it. They just took it. It was theirs. It's called federal taxes. Think about it. Let that smoke. All right, that's all I got today.
Oh,